talking about them yesterday, weren't we? And we'll talk more because they're in the papers. And we're having a look at the papers now. Shall we have a look at the front pages first? Yes, there's the Sunday Express, which says good times are coming. So if that's what you want to believe, buy the Sunday Express and read that. And then we've got, I think we've got the Times next, which has got a warning for the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, because they say undecided voters could still give Tories fresh hope. And then to the Telegraph, which carries a picture of the late former Pope Benedict, who died yesterday, aged 95. And the Star beats us all. It says it's the 1st of January, not just the 1st of January, and never mind abstaining during January. How about actually going out and supporting your local pub? And I think we all sort of support that idea too. Time to go inside the papers now. Joining us this morning, Spiked columnist Ella Whelan and former advisor to Michael Gove, Charlie Rowley, and there's Stephen back again with Timmy. Oh no, not with Timmy.
Yes,
I was going to say, is that Timmy or a hot water bottle on your lap?
No. Timmy's decided to settle in for the next half hour. Ella, can we start with the Sunday Mirror? And Lady Hussey will be going to the coronation. I have to say, I'm very pleased about that.
I think probably most people will share your opinion, Stephen, because there has been, this saga over the comments that Lady Hussey allegedly made to Ngozi Fulani at a do. I think it's caused a lot of debate. I mean, on the one hand, I think lots of people thought, well, there is a way to ask about somebody's heritage or where they're from without it sounding so obdurate and kind of slightly ignorant at times. On the other hand, I think that a lot of other people said, well, there's a woman of a certain age who was addressing someone dressed in a certain way, and, can we not ask each other where we're from anymore? And, that debate has raged on. But the interesting thing that I think, is a bit telling is that Lady Hussey has been invited to the coronation, as the papers describe it, on the proviso and with the caveat that she has apologised and that she has kind of prostrated herself and that she has had her wrist slapped by the firm and indeed by William's correspondent putting out that statement about racism not being tolerated, and she's been kind of shamed. She's been sort of publicly shamed. She's apologised, and now she's allowed to come to the big party of the coronation. And I think probably that won't sit particularly right with many people. Somebody who's been in a job. I mean, I have no love for the royals, as you know, but in the abstract, someone who's been in a job as the confidant of the Queen for so many years is obviously a very close family friend. Being treated like this probably isn't brilliant and doesn't put the royals in cover them in a huge amount of glory. But anyway, she'll get to go and watch the crown be put on Charles's head.
Do you know, fascinatingly, and just full of trivia, as I often am, I was watching The Crown the other night, and it was the episode where Princess Diana meets the surgeon, Hasnat Khan, for the first time, the man with whom she is said to have had a very deep love affair. When she and the scene, and I know The Crown is fiction or fictionalised, and this would have been script, but it was just fascinating because this was filmed a good couple of years ago. She meets him for the first time in hospital, and she says to him, "Where are you from?" Mm-hmm. And he says something like Islington or something, And she says, "No, but where are you really from? Are you from Pakistan?" And I thought, wow, that's interesting. That's Princess Diana being portrayed having almost exactly the same conversation. Mm-hmm. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. Anyway, leave it there.
I don't watch The Crown, actually, Anne. I don't watch it. I think it's...
Oh, you should.
Because it's fiction. But then I didn't watch Game of Thrones and all these series that people seem to really enjoy until this summer. So.
Well, I tend to be like that. I know Stephen is too, aren't you? If somebody tells you to watch something and you'll love it, you sort of think, oh, well, in that case, I won't watch it. I'm not going to do what everybody tells me to do.
Yeah, exactly like that. But terrible.
New Year's Eve, you've been looking at all of the various celebrations.
I have, and I think it's... I know you've been talking about the fireworks and the display and all the displays that are taking place right across the world, but I just thought it was worth spending a bit of time because it's in all the papers today, because it was an absolutely fantastic display, I thought, and the 12,000 fireworks apparently involved. Papers saying that there was 100,000 people that celebrated in London. If you looked at the telly, it looked good deal more than that. But the title of the whole display, sort of 2023 with love from London, I think just symbolises what we want to be as a country and what we want to project across the rest of the world. And just the fireworks itself, sort of looking at the Euros, the 2022 victory of the Lionesses, our great sort of female footballing team, the Ukraine support still there. The rainbow-coloured flags of the LGBT community supporting minority groups and that community. But then, of course, moving on to Her Majesty the Queen. And I wanted to get the clip of the quote where you heard her voice. I think it was incredibly moving. And when she said, even with the most deeply held differences, treating the other person with respect as a fellow human being is always a good first step to a greater understanding. And I think that was just a message that
it was lovely
should be
hearing her
projected across the
voice,
world.
wasn't it?
Oh, it was
really nice.
It was incredibly, and you saw on Twitter people sort of, were really moved by hearing that. And I just thought it was a brilliant celebration of everything that London and the UK has to offer.
I quite agree.
And obviously with Sam Ryder leading the celebrations last night, who will be back again in May as we host Eurovision next year, which is something to look forward to.
That is something to look forward to. We've got to actually count those things, haven't we?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's interesting because I was saying about last hour. I went to a little pub called the Shoulder of Mutton a few days ago, where someone came over and said to me, he said, "Oh, I've had a few drinks, but he said I love GB because I said I'm very English." He said, "I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend your right to say it." Which is a very sort of English thing, and it's the same sentiment, isn't it? And it's what we're trying to push, is the idea we can all agree to disagree, and just listen to each other with respect, show respect to people you disagree with, which I think is a really nice. It'd be a very good way of moving forward, I think, which actually sort of ties in slightly with showing a bit of respect, Ella, for people who choose weird baby names, not really having a go too much.
Yeah, having an opinion on someone's baby.
What's happening?
Having an opinion on someone's baby name is not exactly, it's not always welcome. Although my family do seem to have a huge amount of opinions on mine.
Ella has got to tell you the name of her beautiful baby boy and how she spells it.
Well, you have to understand my dilemma. We've named him Morris, and I have an Irish family, and I've married a English guy with a Welsh last name, a Welsh father. So I'm losing all of the ties to, my identity and all that nonsense. And so I decided to call him Morris, but spelt the Irish way, which is Muirgheas. So I've cursed the child forever is the answer, basically. And I'm a terrible mother.
Yeah.
And I got very strong ticking off from a midwife when I took him to get weighed, who, said to me, the problem with your generation is you all want to be unique, and why couldn't you just have called him Joseph? And I think she probably had me banged to rights. But anyway, actually, I am unique because most of the most common girls' names and boys' names are really they're quite normal. So the Telegraph's top two names of baby announcements are Florence and Frederick, which are very classy in the kind of Telegraph way you might expect. But the top lists released more extensively are for girls. It's Olivia, Emma, Amelia, Ava, Sophia, lots of us, Isabella, Luna, which I don't think is that conventional, Mia, Charlotte, and Evelyn. And boys, Liam has stayed top. Well, it was top in 2021. Noah, Oliver, Elijah, Matteo, which is a bit interesting, Lucas, Levi, Asher, James, and Leo. And there's two odd ones that have broken into the top 100, and that's Legend and Atlas, which I think are very bold names to call your son, I imagine. It's, setting them up for a fall.
I am Legend.
Yeah, I am Legend. Yeah, you could be Legend Rowley, Charlie. How about that?
Well, thank you. Well, I'm not one for compliments, taking compliments, but that's very kind. I think there was another story I remember. I think it was earlier on in the year where there could be an extinction of Garys in this country. So there are no babies being registered under the name of Gary. And I think that's happened for about the last 5
Names go in and
10
out
years.
of fashion, often because of some celebrities giving them a bad name or something, isn't it? But well, there you go. And people make fun of Kevins and things like that. I think it must be very awkward.
But it's a very kind of, middle-aged man named Gary and Kevin, which is nothing wrong with it, but it'd just be quite odd
that's why it'll take
coo over my baby Gary,
No, I think your baby Morris is a wonderful name. I'm just going to have to... can't get my head around the spelling, but there you go.
And his last name is Llewellyn as well, so he's going to have a terrible time.
Yeah. Okay. He'll spend his life spelling it for people, won't he? And explaining it was my mum's idea. Anyway, thank you so much for coming in and taking us through the papers for 4 solid hours. That's been brilliant.
Thank you very much. And congratulations again, Anne. We can't leave without congratulating you on a well-deserved honours.
That's lovely of you to say so. Thank you very much indeed.
Sorry, don't mind me. The cat's just being sick on the carpet. It's all fine.
We will mind you. We'll let you go and clear that up.
He feels like the rest. He's expressing what the rest of the nation is feeling. So solidarity's sick.
Frankly, that really is something we didn't need to know. Too much detail. Thank you very much.